May the force be with you, ladies and gents. We have made it to D-Day, the moment of impact in this slow-motion car crash. Yeah, that's right. Rise of Skywalker is finally here, and lo and behold, the mainstream media are already flocking out in full force. Only this time, they're not here to defend the latest artistic travesty from Lucasfilm. No, Rise of Skywalker is so bad, paid shills can't even pretend to like it. We all know the coming weekend is going to be insane, so in this relative calm before the coming storm, I just wanted to give one last pep talk to my fellow Star Wars fans. Yes, to all my fellow Star Wars fans, white or black, man or woman, Christian or atheist, whether or not you even like The Last Jedi, or call yourself the Fandom Menace is irrelevant. You know who you are. It's been an honor. I mean, seriously. It feels like we've been in the trenches for 2 cussing years, being gaslit and insulted, called every name in the book, fighting off accusations left and right, blocked on Twitter, doxxed, mistreated, and just generally talked down to by the very people who control not only the pop culture narrative, but are in charge of crafting and cultivating the pop culture landscape. So, yeah, I just want to say, whatever the box office take of this insulting patchwork travesty ends up being, and I'm thinking at this point it'll take a miracle for it to go over 1 billion, we made it through. Happy 2-year anniversary, Fandom Menace. I'm proud of us. We've been through some tough times, lost loved ones, and some of our members along the way, and endured some truly abhorrent treatment from the powers that be. And maybe it's too little, too late, but our complaints have been totally vindicated now, what with all the plot leak confirmations and screeching from Last Jedi defenders. But it's too early to do a victory lap. Now is when our efforts are needed most. I'll never forget those first few months after The Last Jedi. Those screeching cowards at Lucasfilm were working overtime to post thousands of fake reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, throw every excuse in the book at us, and just generally discredit any and all longtime fans who didn't particularly like watching their childhood heroes get emasculated on screen, and then condescended to by the very director whose weak contrarian first draft was filmed almost on a whim. We survived the hordes of blue checkmarks. We watched Chuck Wendig crash and burn. We challenged the Access media who were quick to label us racist and sexist and push false narratives like the Kelly Marie Tran incident. We pushed back and we pushed hard, and we have called out the Emperor's lack of clothes, so to speak, so clearly and so loudly that even the most powerful people in Hollywood can't ignore we exist. Not bad for a group of 18 Russian bots. Doesn't matter what site the comment section is on. Star Wars fans are there, shitposting about how badly Disney botched this trilogy. We called it from the beginning. After The Last Jedi, fans flooded Rotten Tomatoes with negative reviews, in numbers this site has never seen before or since. We were proclaiming it from the hills, telling all who would hear, the heads of Lucasfilm are killing Star Wars. Listen to us, please. Course correct before this gets any worse. Oh, but it got worse. Much worse. Solo tanked, Galaxy's Edge flopped, Kennedy and her regime should have been pushed aside. She should have been fired upwards, given a plaque and told to move on. Kinda makes you wonder what dirt she's got on Spielberg and Iger and all those guys, doesn't it? Anyway, the logical thing would have been to trust in Mr. Lucas and in the people that he trusts. For all the talk about bringing him in to work on Episode 9, why wasn't he at the world premiere? Rumors aside, his absence at the premiere of the alleged last film of the saga he created really does say volumes both about his own feelings towards this film and Disney's treatment of him. The actors don't look happy. They almost seem embarrassed to be there. There is a rumor about no one being happy with the final cut of this film, and I'm willing to bet that's because it's a patchwork, a quilt made of the guts and entrails and iconography from the original 6 Star Wars films. Back when I made my essay on the character assassination of Luke Skywalker, I thought all these bad decisions were based on greed and ego. My opinions changed. It almost seems to me like money doesn't matter to these people. Disney has all the moolah and power they could ever want. What's more important to them is the destruction of the powerful message of Star Wars. It doesn't matter if the cash cow dies in the process. What matters is that these frauds can undermine the original saga's universal humanistic themes and undo or challenge its immeasurable impact on Western culture. In Hollywood, typically one mistake is bad enough to warrant a course correction from the top, but in this case there have been several. The Last Jedi underperforming with both box office and home sales, Star Wars Resistance and the Boba Fett film getting cancelled, Star Wars toys doing so badly they contributed to Toys R Us's bankruptcy, Galaxy's Edge being a ghost town, and the unfortunate hodgepodge that is Solo. And that's to say nothing of the treatment of legacy actors and creators. They did John Boyega in the sequel cast dirty too. So many directors have been hired then fired by Disney Star Wars they could form a support group. LucasArts was shut down, with several highly anticipated high-profile games canned. And in the void left by this once legendary studio, we're forced to suffer through EA's microtransaction-plagued Battlefront games and a sloppy mishmash of Uncharted and Dark Souls with discount Kyle Katarn. And before anyone asks, no, I haven't seen The Mandalorian. I'm gonna wait until it's done and then go to a friend's place and stream it or something, so I don't have to give Disney a dime. Yeah, call me an extremist if you want. I haven't forgotten The Last Jedi. 2 years strong and still boycotting. Imagine if you fell into a coma in 2014 and woke up today. Would you even believe the state of Star Wars? I'd probably beg my nurse to medically induce me back into a coma until the mouse gives up and sells the rights back to Mr. Lucas for a fraction of the price. So the movie comes out today. I mean, what's left to say, really? You know it's going to be a disaster. I know it's going to be a disaster. We're going to try and cook the books again, paying off the tomato meter with fake 5-star reviews, buying up seats, Captain Marvel style. The one good thing that could come out of this dumpster fire is that it unites the fandom into wanting the current regime gone. Out of there. Finito. Be rid of the terrible, out-of-touch, agenda-heavy story team that's been running Lucasfilm like a mafia. Away with the idiots who would rather steal fan art for Star Wars comics than dig through their old files for EU content. Unless, of course, they burned it all. I've had a hell of a year. The most difficult year of my life in a lot of ways. And I'm just glad I'm here today with all of you. It really does feel like the end of an epic saga. Not the Star Wars saga. That ended the moment Disney shelved the EU. I mean, our saga, collectively, as fans, being taken on this roller coaster ride by these wool-headed nincompoops who would dare to stand upon the shoulders of pop culture's most enduring mythology, one of the world's most lucrative IPs, that joyous, magical, uplifting cinematic saga that we call the original trilogy, and spew projectile vomit all over it and all over its fans. And then these freaks demand that we lick up the vomit off the ground and pay them for the privilege. Well, to that, I say no. I say fuck no. As Lord Doomcock says, without respect, we reject. Go see The Witcher or Jumanji or Little Woman instead. And if you must, absolutely must see Episode 9, just do what I'm gonna do and use some prepaid movie passes or gift cards rather than spending your hard-earned cash. That's just one guy's suggestion, and it's something I've been doing for the past 2 years. Gotta get creative at some point. Could also just wait for home video so you can pause this train wreck periodically in order to catch your breath between all the belly laughing. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to keep a straight face. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. It's gonna be so bad. So what do I suggest going forward? Well, I'm not sure about you folks, but I'm going to send Mr. George Lucas some physical fan mail. I am going to thank him once again for the positive impact he's had in my life. My first fan letter to him was before The Force Awakens came out. I asked him if he'd ever consider publishing his treatments for the sequel stories in book form. You know, maybe hire a novelist to work with him and sketching them out or something. I'll ask him again. And if you like that idea, it might be good to let him know that the support will be there. We could even start a movement that coincides with the release of the George Lucas Museum. You know, just putting that out there. You know, we as fans, we can get stuff done. I'm also thinking I might just, send some mail to Disney and or Lucasfilm. Just to give them a piece of my mind, give them some constructive criticism on all this. The mainstream media throws hissy fits all the time about Star Wars fans being impossible to please. Yeah, don't fall for that crap. The Mandalorian has good buzz because it respects the fans. Episode 9 is worthy of ridicule, not just because it's a poor work of art assembled by executives' knee-jerk reactions to test screenings, but because it has no respect for what was established before. There is no care for the rich world-building done by people who actually gave a shit about Star Wars. And that's no surprise. If Disney and Lucasfilm couldn't even rein in their white knights from gaslighting and insulting fans on Twitter, And if they had to resort to plagiarism for art direction and script choices in their films, books, and comics, and if they rely on member berries while simultaneously and subtly undermining the archetypes and foundations of the stories they're strip mining and leaving for dead, how the hell would they be able to tie together the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and this Frankensteinian monster of a sequel trilogy? It would take a miracle. And forgive me if I don't think that J.J. Abrams, with his hack fraud mystery box method of storytelling, has the chops to pull it off. Hashtag release the Lucas cut coming sometime soon. Anyway, thanks for watching. Shout out to all my friends on Twitter. I'm going to be recording a video after I see the film myself, so if that's the kind of content you'd like to see, please like this video, subscribe, leave me a comment, and hit that bell. It's going to be a fun weekend.